Welcome everybody to the Kaiju Clash podcast on all things Godzilla, Gamera, Toho, and much more. A thank you to Rick who made the intro, the theme, and he also did write in the show this week, so we'll get into that a little in later. I was thinking maybe, the monster roars, maybe have two versions, play them at each and every other show, like every other show. One with those roars and possibly one with a few more. If you want to see a different version, let me know, and if you do, tell me what kaiju you want to see roar in the intro. But this is a kaiju podcast, but before we get into the actual show, I got two things to mention. One, I'm wearing shorts in December. Yeah, it's December 12th and I'm wearing shorts, so that might possibly be a hint of climate change right there. But I guess that's bittersweet. I mean, I guess the bitter part would be there's really no snow. It doesn't feel Christmassy if it hasn't felt Christmassy enough. And there will be no snow days. But on the other hand, if you do have a snow day from school, you're going to have to end up making it up in the summer. So I guess it's good that you get all the days done now, so you don't have to have an extra day in the summer, I guess. And you don't have to shovel snow, get a hernia. Living with the hernia. Ow! Another story. Friday night, me and Rick were looking through movies, and we found one, Krampus. You know that one? That one that's been advertised like crazy on TV and YouTube. That one, the one about the anti-Santa. Yeah, we found it. We watched it. And one thing we didn't know was that there was a rip-off movie that was made the same exact time as this one. However, it was released earlier. It's not B grade. It's not C grade. It is D grade crap. And the director and Krampus during this movie must have had boobs on his mind, because there were nothing but boobs, and more boobs. And I guess the good thing about watching this one is when we actually see the real Krampus movie, our expectations will be dragged so low. And not only that, but in the D-grade Krampus movie, it wasn't even Christmas time. I think it might have been. It might have been set in Christmas time, but it was like Christmas in July setting. And I mean, it must have been like a Krampus porno, because there's nothing but naked chicks. So be careful when you look up the Krampus movie, because there's the one that's been advertised, and then there's one that's a Krampus porno. So be careful. A few things we should get out of the way. Double O Wrestling Review, first of all. That is my other podcast. You can find it at oowrestlingreview.com, or go to kaijuclashpodcast.com, find the Double O link, click it, and it'll take you to oowrestlingreview.com. Before we go any further, I want to say I'm really impressed in my YouTube numbers for last week's Kaiju Clash episode, because that one has the one last week has the most views than any other on YouTube, and I'm really impressed with that, and there is a lot of likes, so I'm also impressed with that too. Thank you to those who keep listening. Thank you to the old listeners. Thank you to the newer listeners. If you're a new listener, I hope you like it, and I hope you stick around to the end. I hope you share this. I hope you like it, and I hope you subscribe. Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, Kaiju Clash Podcast, but normally I put that stuff in the end. So, again, really great numbers last week. I was actually really surprised by those, and I hope I get another good slate of numbers. I hope we get this thing rolling. I hope I hope instead of making a plateau, this is going to be a really, really high vertical only hill. Because if it was a hill, I'd have to go down, but I don't want to go down, so I'll just make it vertical only. So technically it won't even be a hill, but we got Alex Strang. He is an independent game designer. Go to KaijuClashPodcast.com, hit the Alex Strang link, and it'll take you to his Patreon account. You can make $3, $6, $10, $15, and $20 pledges, each of them with their own perks. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a pretty cool page, and make sure you donate today. Just like Wiki said, if everyone who saw it donated $3, it wouldn't even be there for an hour. Yeah, apparently Wikipedia needs donations or else they're going to have advertisements. So, Kaiju Battle Stories, go to KaijuClashPodcast.com, go to the far right tab, and it'll take you to Kaiju Battle Stories. They are from Duncan. They are fantasy battle stories of kaiju you've always wanted to see duke it out. Are you at the waiting room? Are you just looking for something good to read? These are great to read. Go far right tab, KaijuClashPodcast.com, Kaiju Battle Stories, and check them out. There'll be new ones Sunday, by the end of Sunday, I hope. I'm not going to refresh it. There's going to be 2 new ones, and I'm just going to add them in. We also have Duncan, speaking of that, he also has a Facebook group, Kaiju and Mecha Battle Club. That is his Facebook group, and that is where I get the Kaiju Battle Stories from. So you can either check them out at KaijuClashPodcast.com, far right tab, or you can go to Facebook and look up the Kaiju and Mecha Battle Club group. Speaking of Facebook groups, if you're a Kaiju Facebooker and you haven't followed or you haven't joined every Kaiju group there is on Facebook yet, go to the Godzilla Gojira Kaiju Fan Club. That's a Facebook group where the purpose is for you to vent out about your Kaiju Godzilla love and to have good discussions, and you are allowed to sell Godzilla stuff if it is Godzilla or Kaiju related. And you can also find the link to that on the bottom of my homepage of KaijuClashPodcast.com. And the last thing is actually the last thing to advertise is pretty interesting. Trivia Crack Kingdoms. It's pretty hard for me to describe. You kind of just have to play it to know. But for those of you who do have it, if you don't have it, you should. If you want, you should download it. And yes, this is Kaiju related. I'll tell you how. And this game, there's these channels, and that's how you decide what topic your questions will be on. And you can follow different channels. And if you go and you look up Kaiju Trivia, and if you're a listener of the show, it will be pretty obvious to what channel is mine. It's got the podcast logo as the profile picture. And follow Kaiju Trivia. That is a trivia channel on Kaiju. I highly suggest that you go there. I highly suggest that you suggest questions. Go there, follow, and then suggest questions if you want. I'm slowly building more and more questions. I think now we got 14. I have 14 there. That's not enough to... I mean, you could still play, but it would get repetitive after a while. I am putting more questions in there hopefully soon. And I hope some of you do suggest questions, because you can do that. So with that, we go into feedback. I asked the interwebs about Ishiro Honda and their work. However, first, Rick, he wrote into the show. It wasn't on Facebook about Ishiro Honda. He wrote and he just wrote to the show on our contact page. If you go on our contact page, KaijuClashPodcast.com, you'll find a form thing you can fill out and send in the show. He did one of those, and he said, "Just listen to your latest episode. Loved it. If you need music, have your people call my people. We'll set something up. Godzilla ate your mama, and Godzilla ate Ishiro Honda." That's how he spells it, Ishiro Honda. I listened all the way to the very, very, very end. If you haven't listened to the very, very, very end of episode 9, go there and listen to the very, 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 very end, and see what happens possibly after the end. I think I heard your movie theater analogy on the 00 podcast. I love the Gamer song. Play it more. Well, what does the general consensus say? Do you want the Gamer song or not? Well, guess what? Too bad. Because that is not the Gamer song. No, this is. If it loads. Sarcasm for idiots. I can't come up with lyrics. Someone really help me. You know I have to say something wise in those lyrics. I'm actually surprised I came up with something on the spot too. I am a lyrical genius in the process. So to dive into more feedback, I got a lot of feedback about him, but I left a lot of it out because it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty much people saying he's a genius, people saying there'll be none other like him, he's a successful man. I mean, I agree with all of that. There's just a lot of it, and it would take me forever to read it all, so I kept the long ones, and I kept the kind of original ones. First one is from Frank, saying he was the best around. No one's gonna ever bring him down. I'm probably stupid enough to screw up the lyrics, and someone's gonna write in the show saying, "Hey, chump, you screwed up the lyrics." But Frank did say he was the best around. No one's gonna ever bring him down. Next is from D. He says, "I prefer Nissans. Hondas are boring to me." Car joke. Honk, honk. Next, Zachary. Godzilla's revenge is Honda's Citizen Kane. So I'm assuming he's saying that Godzilla's Revenge just sucks. Is that what he's trying to say? I've never seen Citizen Kane, and I'm assuming that's like an awful movie, and that there's a sequel to it that's also awful. But next, I do know one thing. Next, we have feedback next from Doctor saying, "I'm not clever enough to one-up those great comments like those above me, so I'll be serious. He's a great director, plain and simple. In the hands of most other directors at the time who dabbled with monsters, Godzilla would have been some generic atomic monster movie with a suit, but Honda takes his subject matter with seriousness, even in a movie with cyborgs and aliens. He may be limited in areas such as action filming, as exemplified in Terror Mechagodzilla's rather jarring pacing, but that's no takeaway from how great he is. He helped define a genre and set a standard for those who would follow in his footsteps. I would have loved to have seen what he would have done in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, as he was the first offer to direct it and accept it while he was billed as the last Godzilla until his death. It was billed the last Godzilla until his death, sorry. But as it stands outside in the Kaiju genre, he's a directional giant and unforgettable director. I consider Terror Mechagodzilla his best work, while King Kong vs. Godzilla his worst. Or at his least. Sorry about that too. Next is from Levi. What can I say? He was a filmmaking wonder. He was delivered some true classics like Gojira, which was possibly the best of his work, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, and many others. So rest in peace, Ishiro Honda. Next is from Alan saying my words for him, and there's a picture he's got, and it says seriously awesome. Seriously awesome, like literally awesome. Next from M. Raymond, I have Godzilla 1954 on the L-Ray network as I type this, and yeah, there'll never be another like Honda. Next from Patrick, he was an amazingly talented director with ideas and visions. It's too bad his non-tokusatsu stuff isn't easier to see. Next from Cliff, he is my favorite Street Fighter character. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Next from Highwind, he directed Godzilla 1954, so that makes him one of the most influential, if not the most influential person in kaiju cinema. I wonder how his films would have done if they were done with today's technology. Next from Andy, what a hack. I guess we're all entitled to our own opinions, but I'm going to try to sway yours in just a few seconds. Next is from James. Honda was a great director. If there is any issue with what he directed, know that he was not given a choice in scripts nor writers, but was given a choice in cast, some crew members, and in working with E.G. Tsuburaya, and that thanks to mainly him and E.G., Godzilla was relevant and awesome enough to still merit sequels and reboots up to today's current film market. Without Ishiro Honda or E.G. Tsuburaya, Godzilla may have been an irrelevant one-hit wonder, if that, and we as Kaiju fans would probably not remember him today, and we damn well sure would probably have missed out on all the Kaiju villains that came afterwards, like Ghidorah, Gigan, Mechagodzilla, Mothra Rodan, and would have definitely missed out on any of the Ultra Brothers, the Kaijus in their shows and films, and any of the tokusatsu marvels we have been blessed with since. Honda was a master, and Tsuburaya was his alchemist. Together they made magic, and that has lasted 60 plus years so far. Not many can say nearly so much. Next is another Patrick saying, if all Mr. Honda is remembered for is Gojira, he would be happy, but he helmed so many classics on the silver screen, and don't get me started on the Mysterians. It's one of my favorite Alien Invader movies. Next is from Gene saying, one of the three fathers of Japanese tokusatsu filmmaking, a pioneer and a legend. And what better way to sum it up, as that is the end of our feedback. So now you just sit back, relax, and you listen to this amazing voice. This week we are doing something interesting and new, a bio episode. We are covering the work and the life of Ishiro Honda, who is a well-known director in the Kaiju community. Honda was born in Yamagata Prefectural, Japan, May 7th, 1911. As a kid, he always wanted to be an artist, however got into movies and directing later in life. Honda was drafted into the Japanese army in World War II and was held prisoner at war in China until the war ended. After he was released, he joined Toho Studios, where he worked with as an assistant for director Akira Kurosawa. Honda would later work with Kurosawa in future films. Honda's movie career was, you could say, legendary, and he's directed so many movie classics that you know today, like Gojira or War of the Gargantuas. His movie career is extremely long, and yes, I'm going to give you the entire list in 3, 2, 1. As a director, he directed The Blue Pearl, 1951, The Man Who Came to Port, 1952, The Skin of the South, 1952, Adolescence Part 2, 1953, The Eagle of the Pacific, 1953, Gojira, arguably his most well-known and best work, 1954, Farewell Rabdul, 1954, Half Human, 1955, Love Makeup, 1955, O Ensan, 1955, Rodan, 1956, Young Tree, 1956, People of Tokyo, Goodbye, 1956, The Mysterians, 1956, Good Luck to These Two, 1957, A Tea Picker's Song of Goodbye, 1957, A Farewell to the Woman Called My Sister, 1957, A Rainbow Plays in My Heart, Part 1, 1957, A Rainbow Plays in My Heart, Part 2, 1957, Varen the Unbelievable, 1958, H-Man, 1958, Song for a Bride, 1958, Battle in Outer Space, 1959, and Echo Cause You, 1959, Eno, The Story of an Iron Arm, 1959, Seniors, Juniors, Co-Workers, 1959, The Human Vapor, 1960, Mothra, 1961, The Scarlet Man, 1961, King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, Gorath, 1962, Atragon, 1963, Matango, 1963, Mothra vs. Godzilla, 1964, Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, 1964, Dogora, 1965, Invasion of the Astro Monster, 1965, Frankenstein vs. Baragon, or also known as Frankenstein Conquers the World, 1965, The War of the Gargantuas, 1966, Come Marry Me, 1966, King Kong Escapes, 1967, Destroy All Monsters, 1968, All Monsters Attack, also known as Godzilla's Revenge, 1969, Latitude Zero, 1969, Space Amoeba, 1970, Mirror Man, 1972, Mirror Man reanimates Dinosaur Rosa, 1972, Zone Fighter Episode 4, 1973, and his last directed movie, Terror of Mechagodzilla, 1975. Whew, that's a long list, but guess what? We are not done yet. He collaborated a few movies with Akira Kurosawa before his death, and I'm also giving that list as well. It's only a few. Stray Dog, 1949, Cage Musha, 1980, Ran, 1985, Dreams, 1990, Rhapsody in August, 1991, and Honda's last movie with Kurosawa before he died, Madadeo, 1993. Once you thought this list was over, it keeps on going on and on. As an assistant director, Honda worked on Three Sisters with Maiden Hearts, 1935, Enokin's 10 Millions, 1936, Avalanche, 1937, A Husband's Chastity If Spring Comes, 1937, A Husband's Chastity Fall Once Again, 1937, Enokin's Chikari Kinta Part 1, Mom of the Hat and the Nice Way, 1937, quite a long name. Enokin's Chikiri Kinta Part 2, Returning is Scary but the Weather Will Clear If You Wait, even longer name, 1937. The Beautiful Hawk, 1937. Humanity in Paper Balloons, 1937. Subterranean Heat, 1938. Tejoro's Love, 1938, Suarachi Sururio, 1938, Horse, 1941, Battle Troop, 1942, and Colonel Kato's Flying Squadron, 1944. I already mentioned the other movies that Honda worked with Kurosawa, and he would be assistant director for those as well. After this entire list, how could we get any more movies? Well, with all of these movies, Honda appeared in Stray Dog and Samurai Kids as a cast member, so with being a director, being a writer, assistant director, he is also an actor with a very impressive list and abilities. That is quite an impressive film career, and most people couldn't accomplish today. To get a little further in his biography, Honda was born with 3 older brothers and 1 older sister. He was born as the 4th son of the year of the pig, and was named Ishiro off of that. That's a good trivia question, by the way. His family has had generations of priests, and Ishiro's dad became a chief priest for the Ayuji Temple in Takaedo, Tokyo. His family had to move to Tokyo because of that, and Ishiro attended Takedo Elementary School. Ishiro later attended Kurogashua Middle School, where he graduated from. Ishiro then went on to apply to Nihon University Art Department's Film Department, long university name, as part of the very first class of students. So Ishiro, with whatever classmates he was with, were the very first class of the school, actually. That was interesting. Ishiro worked for PCL Photochemical Laboratory, which is now Toho, after he was invited by Aomori, who was a lecturer at the school. Ishiro first worked with director Sodushi Kimura on Tadano Bonji Jinsei Benko. After that, he went on to get drafted by the Japanese Army, continue a legendary career in film, and died February 28, 1993 by respiratory failure. And in 2009, a book about Ishiro's life and works named Mushroom Clouds and Mushroom Men was published in English by Peter H. Brothers. Another thing I found about Ishiro Honda is that he has his own website, JapaneseGiants.com/Honda, and that's where I got most of this information from, actually. I'm very impressed with Honda's work and his list of work. He created one of the most iconic movies of all time, Gojira, and he started a franchise and a whole new genre of film. With the good comes some bad. Even with his impressive career, there were a few that quite didn't get the attention he expected. For example, All Monsters Attack, also known as Godzilla's Revenge. I like the movie, but wouldn't call it the best. However, if you ever go on the internet area with any internet interwebs places with kaiju fans, the two things that are bashed the most are 1, Godzilla 98, and 2, Godzilla's Revenge. King Kong vs. Godzilla is a kaiju film I didn't really enjoy personally. I don't want to call it boring, but I will say I don't get all too thrilled by it. I like Terror of Mechagodzilla, and the fact it's one of my favorite movies, and the internet generally agrees with me. However, in 1975, when it first came out, it was surprisingly deemed a bad movie at its time, but there was good, and that good overpowers the bad. As I mentioned earlier, Honda created Gojira that started a franchise, an entirely new genre. There were many good movies within his career, and he was very good at captivating an audience and very well known to carry a powerful message in his work that really goes to the heart. Ishiro Honda will be forever known for his contribution to the Kaiju universe as a powerful director with a full accomplished career, and a man like him comes around once in a lifetime that I feel the next Ishiro Honda won't come for a long, long time. That is the life and career of Ishiro Honda. And a few points I also want to say is he has a lot of non-kaiju movies. And a lot of these I never heard of. And a lot of these are really hard to get, actually. And he's not... he's well known, most well known for his kaiju films, but he's not also known for his kaiju films. He makes a lot of non-kaiju films, and he does have a lot of good movies under his belt. I brought three of his works that weren't the best. Well, Terror of Mechagodzilla was good, but it wasn't. It wasn't the best for people thought it wasn't good at the time, but later on more people liked it. You got Gojira, Godzilla King of the Monsters, technically the same movie. Godzilla vs. Mothra, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Invasion of the Astro Monster, The Mysterians, Very the Unbelievable, War of the Gargantuas, just really good movies. Mothra that overpower Godzilla's Revenge, King Kong vs. Godzilla. So yeah, every director has a few bad movies, but Ishiro Honda is just a legend, and it was just gonna be very rare for a next one to come. Ishiro Honda Jr., where are you? So with that, we get into Kaiju news. Yeah, that was kind of different. Rick screwed around with the mix board, so I don't know which one's the actual one that like echoes. Kaiju news. Oh, no. Kaiju news. Kaiju news.
Kaiju news, oh! Let me probe your anus. We come to Earth to look for the Amish. We want to search through the Amish anuses. We come to probe. We come to probe.
Sorry, I'm just having a little fun with my little mix board here. So we are in Kaiju news. Really big news to start it off. Godzilla Resurgance, July 29th, 2016, from comingsoon.net. It's been 11 years since legendary Japanese studio Toho brought the King of the Monsters to life, but that will change next year with the release of Toho's Godzilla Resurgence. Toho has debuted the first teaser trailer of the film along with a poster offering a glimpse at the design of the big fella himself. Production of the 29th Godzilla movie, the first from Toho since 2004's Godzilla Final Wars, took place over the summer with filmmakers Hideki Anno and Shinji Higuchi, known for their work on Neon Genesis Evangelion. How do I pronounce this? Evangelion. Evangelion. Let me that fire. If you don't know the reference, you should probably listen to the Double O Wrestling Review. In the live-action Attack on Titan co-directing the feature, Anu also wrote the screenplay for the film while Higuchi oversaw the special effects. Toho previously revealed they will utilize CG technology for the film, with Hijishi calling it the most terrifying version of Godzilla. The co-director also previously said the filmmakers were going to push the film into a different direction from the happier installments, citing the world has lost its innocence after various terrorist attacks and natural disasters over the past few years. Godzilla Resurgance is scheduled for July 29th, 2016. Circle it on your calendars, July 29th, 2016. So, I'm excited. I mean, if you're going to be honest with yourself and to be a Debbie Downer, it's not going to debut in America, I don't think. It's going to debut in Japan, and it's not going to have the subtitles, I bet. So it'll be confusing for us Americans who can't learn anything. But when it does come around to the U.S., it's going to be awesome, man. I'm not sure how the dubbing works, because dubbing in the 1950s and special effects have come a long way from 1950 to 2015, or it'll be 2016 by then. So I'm interested in how the dubbing system works today, and how. I mean, I would rather just have the subtitles. I've learned from Gamera films to just accept the Japanese and just listen to the subtitle. I'm gonna listen to the subtitle, watch the subtitles, but it's exciting. And I did see the new Godzilla design, and I've got positives and negatives. I'm gonna spoil it right here. Next week's topic is the new Godzilla design. Speaking of the trailer, it will be on the website, kaiju-podcast.com. By the time you're listening to it, and it's probably going to be on the website. I'm going to make sure it's going to be on the website. So if you're interested, check it out. And I also have the Shin Gojira website link on kaiju-podcast.com. If you look for Shin Gojira, it'll be on white. Click it and it'll take you to their website. Shin Gojira has a website, shingodzilla.jp. That's probably where they got this news. They have news about how their movie's going. They're gonna have the picture there. They have the teaser trailer also there. So oh my God, I'm sorry. I hallucinated and I just saw a ghost in the corner of the room. I almost crapped my pants, man. That has nothing to do with Godzilla, by the way, but he does look sinister. He does look freaky. He does look sinister, and it's certainly not a poster you want to wake up to. And the bad, I would say his eyes. His eyes are probably the worst part. However, I feel his eyes are going to get bigger in the film. But I'm going to describe it a lot more in depth next time. That's not next week's topic, because we do a show every other week. Next show, episode 11, will be new Godzilla's design. So, to go on more with the news, next bit, original Godzilla 2014 script reveal. Oh, sorry, it's not a ghost. There's a hair. There's like hair in my eyebrow, and it's long enough to cover part of my eye, and that wasn't a ghost, that was a hair, by the way. Again, nothing kaiju related. Original Godzilla 2014 script revealed from sci-fi.com. Before Garth Edwards and Legendary Pictures' Godzilla 2014 made it to the silver screen, the film and its concepts had gone through some fairly drastic changes. For starters, the original height for Godzilla was originally going to be 600 feet tall. Oh my God, could you imagine if they if they did that? Godzilla would be chucking galaxies. Different designs for the Mutos, as well as their names and abilities, were very different, and roles for the film's main characters were nearly opposite to what they became. The entire draft by David Coleman, David S. Goyer, and Max Bornstein spanned 107 pages, which was submitted to Legendary in June of 2012. Most of the script was changed before filming began, but below is a rough outline of what the original script contained, thanks to the guys at Wikizilla. So, here are the changes. They got really specific with this, by the way. I'm going to read some. I'm not sure if I'm going to get all of them. I might, but For starters, the atomic test at the very beginning of the movie, which is gone into detail, and with Godzilla awakening, actually has a full-fledged scene instead of being part of the opening. So when they describe in the very beginning, Godzilla 2014, when they describe the atomic testing, they're gonna have that as its own scene rather than just the opening. Some town in Russia is the site where Dr. Serizawa flies to instead of the Philippines 10 years prior to the events of Godzilla. Okay, Dr. Stabler takes the place of the man who meets Serizawa and Graham in the Philippines. Ishiro Serizawa is called Honda. I wonder after who? Ishiro Honda. Vivine Graham doesn't appear in this draft. Now, I'm saying but in all honesty, half of these names I completely forgot, by the way. So some of them are starting to come back into my mind. Some of them aren't just coming. I mean, if I go further in here, I'll probably get reminded more of who they were. So maybe it goes from oh my god, I can't believe they changed that. Instead of finding a giant Godzilla skeleton in the cave and 2 Mudo spores, the skeletons of giant 3 creatures, a Godzilla and 2 Mudos, were found frozen in ice. That's interesting. Ford Brody is called Ford Maddox. Okay, I don't know how that's drastic of a change. And is not in elementary school during the opening when his mother dies in the power plant. He's an 18-year-old high school senior ready to go off to... Where is my second page of Kaiju news? College. He's going to college. That would put him as a middle-aged man, actually, wouldn't it? Ellie Brody is called Ellie Maddox and is Ford's 13-year-old sister instead of his wife. Ooh, could you imagine? Marrying your sister. But that wasn't what's going to happen. He was going to be... that would also drastically change some of the events if instead of his wife, it was a sister. That would have some effect, I would feel, on script. Joseph Brody is called Nathan Brody, is 40 years old and is Ford's and Ellie's stepfather again. That would probably be a drastic change. Sandra Brody is called Linda Maddox and is 40 years old. Is also I guess depending on when they died, that was probably more of a blow to the script rather than their names and identity. The opening takes place in a suburban neighborhood in the Shakotan Peninsula in Hokkaido, Japan, instead of the fictional city of Janjira, Japan. Possibly a difference. The company that ran Janjira's power plant was called Jan Corp in the script. Doesn't really have a change in the thing or in the movie. Really, it's all it is an extra ad placement here and there. The Mudos are referred to as Hokkmudo, male from Hokkaido, and Mudo and Fimudo. That made no sense to me whatsoever. I'm just moving on. Ikeo, the Hawaiian boy Ford protects in the final film, is called Ichiro in the script and is Japanese. Ichiro! Remember Ichiro. No, not Ichiro from Portlandia. Ichiro from Godzilla's Revenge. In case if you needed a reminder. Here's a big change. In this draft, Godzilla is explicitly mentioned to be 600 feet tall. Thank God it's not. Oh my god, you know how many problems we'd have? The Hokkmudo is defeated, not killed early on, outmatched by Godzilla, as it was hunting alone instead of a pair with a female, so Hokkmudo turns herself into a Kersless in a whatever that is, where later on it breaks feet and grown 4 wings. Okay. Godzilla uses atomic breath for the first time against the male Mudo instead of the female Muto. Should I say Muto or M-U-T-O? What is the popular pronunciation? M-U-T-O? Do you just spell it out, or do you say Muto like Mogira? Do you spell it M-O-G-U-R-A, or do you say Mogira? Instead of Ford Brody destroying the Muto eggs by igniting an explosion by himself, he gets the help of other soldiers and destroys a spore by jamming a pair of bolt cutters through it. Instead of impaling the three-winged Hokumudo with a broken building, Godzilla crushes the Hokumudo's head with a strong bite. Pretty nice. And the last change here, instead of firing down his atomic breath down the female Muto's mouth in a kiss of death, Godzilla cuts off the Muto's head clean off and neck with his claws. And that's a big change. I like the part where Godzilla shoots atomic breath down the throat and blowing it up. I think that was a pretty memorable moment, and I'm not sure how I would feel if that was taken away. But those were big big script changes. Some of them were pretty big, some of them were but that was the original script when the guys first got it, and interesting how they were able to change so much with it. And the final bit of news, I had 2 weeks, but there's only 3 big news segments because 1, everyone's covering Godzilla Resurgance, and 2, there hasn't just been much going on in the kaiju world. El Rey's second annual Christmas Kaiju Marathon from DreadCentral.com. Now that it's officially December, it's time to start planning your Christmas holiday TV schedule, and at the top of your list should be El Rey Network's second annual Kaiju Christmas Marathon that brings you over 96 hours of mania featuring the one and only Godzilla. The marathon crashes into your home with the original film that started it all, Gojira, on Thursday, December 24th at 6 a.m. and culminates with Rodan on Sunday 27th at 4 a.m. El Rey's Kaiju Christmas schedule is as followed. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say the entire thing as it is. So I remember last year's Christmas Kaiju Marathon. Any of you stuck around for that? I mean, I'm not really big on the TV because I have all the films in a box. I have a special Godzilla box where I keep all of my Godzilla films, and I have all of those in there, so I don't really need to go on the TV. But for those of you who do like that or don't have, I remember I did catch some last year. It was Christmas Eve, and me and my dad were looking for something to watch, and we found that I remember the films. It was Godzilla King of the Monsters first, and then after that was Rodan. And I remember when I woke up on Christmas, I was in my room watching some of that Kaiju Christmas Marathon, and I think it was Godzilla's Revenge. And I think I saw it again later on the day before I ate Christmas dinner. But I am going to give you the entire schedule right here, so listen closely. This is the official schedule of El Rey's second annual Christmas Kaiju Marathon. It is on the El Rey Network, obviously, and for those of you who don't know what channel it's on, Lucha Underground, that we cover that on the Double O Wrestling Review, and it's starting to kick up in production now, but it wasn't on for a while, so there was really nothing for me on the El Rey Network. So let's see if I can remember what channel it's on. It is in the 300s, I have DirecTV, so it's in the 300s. In fact, I'm going to check it right now. Okay, I have checked. Cutting the wire again. I had checked, and for DirecTV, the channel is 340. That is the El Rey Network. For DirecTV, and I'm sure if you just Googled El Rey Network, you could, if you have someone else, if you have Dish or cable, you could probably find your channel for that. So for the fifth time, the official schedule for the second annual Christmas Kaiju Marathon starting December 24th at 6 a.m. Thursday, December 24th, 6 a.m. in the morning, starts with Gojira. Then 8:15 a.m., Godzilla King of the Monsters. 9:45 a.m., Rodan. 11:45 a.m., Ghidra the Three-Headed Monster. 1:15 p.m., Godzilla Raids Again. 3 o'clock p.m., 3 p.m., Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. 5 p.m., Mothra vs. Godzilla. 7 p.m., Godzilla's Revenge. 8:30 p.m., Terror of Mechagodzilla. 10:30 p.m., Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. It's interesting this year because they have more Heisei and Millennium movies here, which we did not see last year. Last year was a lot of Showa. There's still a lot of Showa here too, but not as much as there's not as much this year as it is last year. There's a lot of Heisei, and I'm surprised with that. We go into Christmas. 1 a.m. Technically, the last movie, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Then that runs through Christmas. Happy Christmas, y'all. Then it goes to 1 a.m. with Godzilla vs. Mothra. 3:30 a.m. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. And then Friday, December 25th. It's weird because it says Friday, December 25th, but they count 6 a.m. as the start of the day every day. So technically, if we're going 12 a.m., it would still be under previous day's category. But 6 a.m., Godzilla vs. Destroyer. 8:15 a.m., Godzilla vs. King Ghidra. 10:30 a.m., Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. 12:30 p.m., Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. 2:45 p.m., Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidra, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. 5 p.m., Godzilla Tokyo SOS. 7 p.m., Godzilla Final Wars. 9:45 p.m., Godzilla King of the Monsters. 11:30 p.m., Ghidra the Three-Headed Monster. 1:30 a.m., so we're out of Christmas into the day after Christmas where everyone says, 364 more days till Christmas. Where were we? We were 1:30 a.m., right? 1:30 a.m., Godzilla Raids Again. 3:15 a.m., Godzilla Final Wars. 6 a.m., Mothra vs. Godzilla. 8 a.m., Terror of Mechagodzilla. 10 a.m., Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. 12:30 a.m., Godzilla Tokyo SOS. 2:30 p.m., Godzilla vs. Mothra. 4:30 p.m., Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. 7 p.m., Godzilla vs. Destroyer. 9:15 p.m., Godzilla vs. King Ghidra. 11:30 p.m., Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. 1:30 a.m., Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. 3:45 a.m., Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidra, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. So now we're getting to Sunday, December 27th. So, when you were in school, if you had off Christmas and you also had off New Year's, chances are you had off in that week between. I don't know why we get that week off. I mean, I'm happy we got that week off. We get the week off because that's more free time. I guess it's because winter break and stuff like that. But that awkward week between Christmas and New Year's, you're still off for no reason really, but you're just off. Then now we're getting more into that part. 6 a.m. December 27th, Godzilla Tokyo SOS. 8 a.m. Godzilla Final Wars. 10:45 a.m. Godzilla King of the Monsters. 12:30 p.m. Ghidra the Three-Headed Monster. 2:30 p.m. Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. 4:45 p.m. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. 7:15 p.m. Godzilla vs. Mothra. 9:15 p.m. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. 11:45 p.m. Godzilla vs. Destroyer. 2 a.m. Godzilla vs. King Ghidra. And 4:15 a.m. This marathon ends technically Monday, December 28th, but it ends with Rodan, 4:15 a.m. That is the entire schedule. And if you want to re-look at it, you can go to dreadcentral.com and look it up. And they have the list. I mean, El Rey's got to have that list too. So you could probably find on elreynetwork.com too. Just go to their website, and you can also find the schedule. I might stick around for a few of these. I mean, I do have them on disc, but I don't know. I'd probably find myself watching a few. I am surprised how they got a mix of Showa, Heisei, and Millennium all in here. That was surprising for me. And El Rey Network, that I mean, for other than Godzilla, I mean, El Rey Network is a pretty good network. They have Godzilla movies, and even if they don't have a marathon, I mean, every holiday they have Godzilla marathons, and sometimes they just play them for the heck of it. And other times, and not only they have Godzilla, they have Lucha Underground, which is pretty much the world's best wrestling. And they have Kung Fu movies, some, I'm assuming, public domain ones, but I like El Rey Network overall. I hope you do too, and I hope you tune in for the second annual El Rey Network Kaiju Christmas Marathon. So that's the news. Thank you all for listening, the old and the new and the some that are ugly. Thanks for listening, everyone. Next week is the Shin Godzilla design. We're going to go more, not necessarily just the design, but more in the movie, possibly. As we get closer and closer to that. We are on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and share with Kaiju Clash Podcast. Look it up on YouTube. Subscribe, share, and like. We are also on KaijuClashPodcast.com. Well, that is our website, KaijuClashPodcast.com. You can find a lot of great stuff, like the new Godzilla Resurgance teaser trailer. That will be on there. The Niche Episode 1. That will be also on there on Tokusatsu and what it means. Kaiju Battle Stories, far right tab. That will be there. I won't refresh it, but I'm going to add more stories later. Shin Gojira website, if you want to learn more about the movie, you can go and click the link. Alex Strang Patreon, click the Alex Strang link, and it'll take you to his Patreon. Highly recommend you check it out, and highly recommend you donate. It's the giving season, so why not give a little love, you know, y'all. Godzilla Gojira Kaiju Fan Club Facebook group. Go to Facebook and find that group and join it, or go to KaijuClashPodcast.com. All the way on the bottom on the homepage, you can click on that too. Spreaker, Kaiju Clash Podcast, Stitcher, Kaiju Clash Podcast. Go to those, look it up. We're on there. Next week again is Shin Gojira design, just Shin Gojira. I'm focusing more on the design of the monster. However, we might get a little more into the movie. Goodbye. Enjoy the Army-Navy game. If you're listening December 12th, today is the Army-Navy game, so if you're in the USA, check it out. Me and Rick are going to be checking it out. We're going to be watching it. That's their family tradition, holiday tradition, if you will, Army-Navy game. And the next time I'll see you, let me check the calendar here. The day after Christmas, believe it or not, December 26th. I will have a show by then. I don't think I'm gonna cancel it just because it's right after a holiday. If need be, I could record some other time, but expect a show, and if there won't be, then I'm sorry, and if there won't be, I'll make sure I have an announcement so you all know. But that will be the day after Christmas, so I'm not going to see you at all after this until after Christmas. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Easter, y'all. Whatever you celebrate, have a good time, have a good holidays, and I will see you next time, December 26th.